Moving on now to our next panel. Would it surprise you if I told you that Rwanda has a better record of the representation of women in political office, in their sort of political positions than India does? It has now been an age-old debate how underrepresented women are both in our parliament and in our assemblies. The women's reservation bill has been a debate as old as, well, as old as the time I've been a journalist. And that's been about more than 20 years now. When I first became a reporter, I started doing stories on the women's reservation bill. And I was told that it was going to go through. And of course, that still hasn't happened now. In the meantime, what's interesting is that more and more women are getting the limelight when they enter politics. But it isn't easy to be a woman in politics. I'm really excited to bring up my next panel today because there's something about them that's so fascinating. They've all been superstars in one profession and then they've migrated to another profession. So when we talk about women and working women and the need for women to pursue professional passion, something I feel super passionate about, these are women who've actually held two passionate professions. Let's bring them up now. Urmila Matondkar. We remember her as the Rangila girl, but she's a feisty politician today, and she has just, in fact, joined the Shiv Sena. Urmila is with us, as also is Khushbu Sundar. Khushbu Sundar is somebody who has joined the BJP just recently, but is also someone who we know from the screen, from the world of cellulite stardom. And in a moment from now, I'm hoping that Nusrat of the Trinamool Congress will join us as well. I'm sure she'll be with us in just a few minutes, and this is going to be one fascinating conversation. So let me start with you, Khushbu, if I may. You have been at the receiving end of all kinds of trolling, as all of us have been. You once expressed an opinion on how premarital sex takes place, and you actually had to face death threats. What has been the toughest thing about being a woman in the public eye, and has it been tougher to be a woman actor in the public eye or a woman politician?
I think it's very difficult for a woman who comes from cinema field and then come into the public life. The first reaction of people and men especially is you're an actor. You're fit only to prance around the trees. You're not supposed to speak sensible. You're not supposed to be intelligent. And you're not supposed to show that you are intelligent. So you don't do all of that. We men are way ahead and we will decide what has to be done. We all go through these problems, and I have faced these problems. The reason why I moved from my other two parties is because, they feel completely intimidated by a woman who's intelligent, who has a mind of her own, who's confident, and she can call the shots. So the men are completely intimidated. And yes, I have faced this.
Khushbu, were men more sexist in the film industry? All of you are actors, and I don't know where Nusrat is. Let's please bring her on as soon as she comes. But what unites all three of you is that you have all come a different world into this world. And I have to ask you again, is the film industry more patriarchal, or is the world of politics more patriarchal? And I'm going to ask Urmila the same question in a moment, but I'll take that to Khushbu first.
It's definitely the political field which is more patriarchal, because in cinema, it's not patriarchal. I think you are very clear what roles you have to play. It's not that you go blindfolded. You are there, not knowing what is to be done, what has to be done, or what you will be to do. So I don't see any patriarchal attitude in cinema. If you're going to talk about equality, that the paycheck is not the same, then you feel, yes, the paycheck is not the same. And this has been what going on for many, many years now. But when you talk about the patriarchal attitude, I think that is more in political field and not in cinema.
So more patriarchy in politics than in cinema. Let me take the same question to Urmila. Urmila, would you agree? Like, Khushbu actually feels that she's experienced more sexism in politics than in cinema. I'm seeing Nusrat joining us as well. Nusrat Jahan of the Trinamool Congress. Hi and welcome. We'll come to you in just a moment. Look at these three extraordinary women on our screen. They have been superstars in their own right, and now they're trying to make it in politics. Urmila, if you can hear me, let me ask you the same question. Khushbu says, Urmila, can you hear me? Khushbu says, no.
Should I refresh?
Urmila, can you hear
me? She can be seen in live.
Urmila, can you hear me?
Yes, she can be seen in live.
Urmila, can you hear me? Okay, Urmila can't hear me. We need to fix that, guys. So let me ask Nusrat the same question. Nusrat, we were talking to Khushbu about what is more patriarchal, the world of films and entertainment, or is it politics? And let me ask you the same question. I think Urmila can hear me now, but I've taken that to Nusrat, so I'll take it to Nusrat. Hi, Urmila. Nusrat, what do you have to
Hi.
say?
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. It's a fun question, actually. Um,
Yeah,
See, it has been a part and parcel. Let me just start with that, saying that when men are oppressed, they call it tragedy. When women are oppressed, they call it tradition. That's how it has been all this while.
that's a
But let's
fantastic
just,
quote, by the way. That is a quotable quote for the times. Go ahead.
yeah. So I genuinely feel that why don't we always um, look on the brighter side of things. So things are changing, when times are changing. When I stepped into politics 1.5 years back, not that I never had to face much, it wasn't bed of roses for me either. So people judged me for the way I dressed, people judged me because I came from the acting field, and they will continue to judge me if I allow them to judge me. So I think it's upon oneself to make a difference, bring about the change, and just somehow साइड करना चाहिए ये patriarchy का पूरा चीज. So I my leader is a woman, and even when the reservation bill was passed in the parliament, so AITC had like about 35% of women MPs in the 16th Lok Sabha. So see, we're
Yeah.
bringing about change. We're trying to slap patriarchy on its face. So I'm not going to complain
But let me
much
ask
about
you
it. I'm not
this.
going to complain much.
Let me ask you this, though. I remember when you first went to Parliament with another friend and colleague of yours from the Trinamool Congress, Mimi, and both of you went wearing jeans to Parliament. So I don't
Yeah,
know if we
I
have
was
those
I was
photographs.
clad. I was Barkha. I was clad from like top to toe, and
There you
more
are.
clad
There,
than
there, there,
probably.
there there
Yeah,
you
see?
are. I mean, that's like, did you expect those photographs to create such a storm? Like, what did they expect you to
No,
be? Like, what did you make of that
no,
fuss
I
over
don't know.
those,
Like
the fact that you wore
when you
photos to
go to
Parliament?
your workplace,
Yeah,
like a young girl, when you actually going to your workplace, your new workplace, and we all love our phones, we all love the social media, and that's how we connect with our people in today's times. All the youngsters do.
yeah.
So we clicked a picture, a simple picture, that we are happy to be here. And do you see us exposing anywhere in the picture? No. So how come they just condemned the entire thing, and they said this is against how a woman should dress in the parliament? Sabhyata ke against. I said, I genuinely feel a sari is little more, exposing than what we are wearing. So, so,
Yeah.
so I don't
And in
know.
any
I don't know
cases, no
why
one's
people
been through
had to say something like that. And no one, and patriarchy on that note, that we had male also. We had our male MPs also wearing denim in the parliament, and none of them were held accountable for that.
Good point. I remember,
Hmm.
let's if we can take it back now to Urmila and Khushbu. I just want to take a moment and look at these three women. And I just remember, Nusrat, I remember talking to Hillary Clinton once. In fact, she was in your city, Kolkata, and I was interviewing her, and she said, every time I go anywhere, they'll say Hillary Clinton, parenthesis, wearing a whatever blue pantsuit which has too many creases, having a bad hair day, and they never say that
Hmm.
about the men. They never
Yeah.
talk about the clothes and the hair and the weight of men, and it's so bloody sexist. I'm seeing a consensus here that politics is more sexist than cinema. Urmila, you went from sort of being from this vanity industry, the great sort of sex symbol of the Rangila decade, to being this feisty, ferocious street fighter politician. How's that journey been? And do you agree with Khushbu and Nusrat that politics is more sexist than the film world? It kind of sounds contradictory, but
Absolutely.
go ahead.
No, it is. It is contradictory, but it is very, very true. And I was someone who was literally served on platter. And but like Nusrat just said, that one has to look at it from all dimensions. So I do understand where they were coming from, because there was this woman who was, yes, like you said, known to be a sex symbol, very, very glamorous, had a very glamour-oriented career, along with a lot of substantial roles and things. Even then in films, I kind of didn't agree with this whole nonsense that only if you do certain kinds of role you're an actor, and only if you do certain kinds of role you're a glamour queen. All these tags beyond the point shouldn't mean anything. So I never let it affect me then. I never let it affect me now. The choice of going among most of the huts and the poor people and trying to connect to them was mine, not necessarily the people around me from Congress who were helping me from the campaign wanted me to do that. But my intention of coming into, so I just feel beyond the point people will keep talking, and you need to do keep focused and do what you need to do, because I am someone, and I'm sure so are these two lovely women, and accomplished women, and you yourself, and happy birthday, by the way. I just think that they're not, these are not the women who are going to expect a special treatment because we are women. We are going to have a step forward and do our best and expect the best, nothing less. I wouldn't want any position, anything at all, ever, because I'm a woman. I would want it because I'm good at it. Also, I'd like to, say that, yes, when I came in, I knew it would be difficult and tough for what was I expecting, but so was film career tough. Here, what has happened is that in general, it has become a very, very poisonous kind of a field where it has become so horribly, vicious towards anybody that nothing actually should surprise you. And then, of course, women do become an easy target. So you need to have more nerves than ever today. But it becomes an enjoyable ride if you take it. I mean, if you're kind of aware of what they are going to do, the joke is actually on them, not on you, because you're already prepared. So you're like, okay, bring it on.
I couldn't agree more about that, and the one thing that bugs everybody is if you're carrying on with your journey and you're not impacted by other people's opinion of you. So taking this back to the panel, Khushbu, Nusrat and Urmila, if we can just have everybody back on, I want to ask all three of you, what is the worst, most sexist thing that has been said to you, either offline or online? Obama used to do this thing of reading out the rudest tweets he would get. And I thought it was so empowering, because if you just read out what your trolls say and you're like, it just takes care of that, right? So I want to ask you, when you are trolled, when you are abused, when you are threatened, have you developed thick skins? Are you able to laugh at it, or does it still hurt? And if you were to look back, what is the most horrible thing that been said to you? I'll start with you, Khushbu.
I think the most horrible thing is like, people come out and say, especially my former colleagues come up and say that you're an actor, so just continue acting. कुछ नहीं होने वाला तुम्हारा. So, I'm like, okay, fine. So all these years having given myself to your party, being there, defending the party at every possible level, defending the indefensible, and yet you come up. I mean, then they didn't know I was an actor, but now I'm suddenly, like, oh, you're an actor, you're fit only to act. जाके अपना acting करो, यहाँ पे तुम्हारा कुछ नहीं होने वाला. So I think that is what, and it doesn't hurt, because if outsiders say something, they troll, they're trolls, they are looking for that 2-minute fame. Okay, you respond to them and they're like, "Arey yaar, Khushbu or Nusrat or Urmila, somebody has responded to me." So वो 2 minute के fame के लिए. So I generally don't react, but yes, there are times when you have to give it back to them in the language they completely understand, because you are एक और बात हो जाती है कि कीचड़ में पत्थर फेंको तो कीचड़ आप पे उछलेगा, तो इसलिए ज्यादा तर्क करते नहीं है कि you feel that it's not important. You just, on Twitter and all the other social platforms, you have this button called mute, which I love it. So don't give them the pleasure of blocking them, but mute them. I do that, but then yes, I will be lying if I say that it doesn't hurt. You're human after all. You become thick-skinned. You become completely. I say that I'm not buffalo skin. I'm rhinoceros skin. So I am like one genda where nothing goes in. But even then, at some point, it does hurt you when unnecessarily my kids are involved. They bring up my girls, they bring up my husband. So there it hurts you. Like very recently, when I quit Congress and I went to BJP, they didn't have anything else to say, but they said that I was completely brainwashed by my husband to join BJP. And I'm like, guys, all these years, have you ever seen my husband in anywhere around me in all this political field? Not even once you have ever seen him or he even commenting about my political choices. So where does he come in from? Why is he pulled into this? So,
Yeah.
and then it came up that, oh, he has financial difficulties, and just to set that right, he pushed me in BJP, and that's when it blew me up. I blew my top and I gave it back to my local former colleagues because I think that was very, very unethical and uncalled for. So up mein himmat hai, you come to me, you speak to me. Don't bring in my family, don't bring in my children and my husband, because
You know,
you do something to my family, you speak about them, then Bhagwan bacha aapko, I am a wounded tigress.
wounded tigress. You're not wounded. You're just a tigress, as we should all be. And I was just going to say, in your cases, and I know this has happened to all three of you in different ways. Your husbands are being brought up. In my case, I was given husbands I don't have. So when they wanted to, yeah, I promise you, when my politics had to be understood by my trolls, they said to me that I was married to Muslim men, that I had been married 3 times. When I said I wasn't married, they said I've been divorced 3 times. Two of those three men actually don't exist. The other one is an old friend, so I call them my Wikipedia husbands, and that's how I deal with it. So, but you women are dealing with real husbands who are being dragged into this. Urmila, that happened with you in your campaign, right? Your husband, his religion, that was dragged into how you were being attacked. So, speak a little bit about that.
It was insane, and it's really ridiculous because it had no boundaries, it had no limits to where it went. I really was completely taken aback because, like Khushbu just said, that it is me who is in front of you. It is me who is fighting your ideologies, not you personally, none of them personally. So, and like she said earlier, and like you asked, when you're an actor, it is even 10 times worse because then it is like understood or imagined that you are completely dumb. Actresses, I mean, the women and actor, that whole combination, along with politics, first of all, I don't understand why. Because there are many, many politicians who are completely dumb as hell, and you just are shocked that they're actually sitting in some ministerial posts and places, and you are actually
There are
embarrassed to
many dumb
show them
journalists
really
also, by
sad.
the way. There are many dumb journalists also, by
Exactly.
the way. I'm going to get
Many of
executed for
them were
saying this, but yeah.
completely unaware of what is happening, what has happened yesterday, let alone about what has happened in our history, what has
Yeah.
happened in a socio-political situation in a few years of the country. कुछ पता नहीं होता, but just because okay, अभी हम आए हैं एक दूसरी लाइन से एक बहुत बड़ा स्ट्रगल करके एक बहुत बड़ा मकाम कायम करके आए हैं तो बस हम easy target है because it's understood that actors don't have brains. So that first of all is most ridiculous. And secondly, what I was really not prepared for was this horrible, horrible attack that came on my husband, his family, his everything, and therefore on me as well. And he was called a terrorist. He was called a Pakistani. He was called a, I mean, there's a limit to where it should go to and where it should be drawn. So much so that they have even infiltrated my Wikipedia page and they have gone and put my mother's name as Rukhsana Ahmed, my father's name is Shivendra Singh, two human beings. They must be living in somewhere in India, but I don't know of. So my father's name is Shrikant Matondkar and my mother's name is Sunita Matondkar. And to top it all, my husband is not only Muslim, but he is a Kashmiri Muslim. And we both follow our religions in an equally staunch way.
Yeah.
So that sort of gave them even a bigger platform to troll me and to talk about all of that and to constantly, target him and his family. And that was very unfortunate. It was what I want to ask to all these people is whatever happens to their culture, their upbringing, their so-called ideas of certain religion that they claim to be defending, those questions remain unanswered. But like
Yeah.
I said, no, I don't have any thick skin, anything. But I have too beautiful a skin to let be, bothered or dirtied with these kind of things that come my way. No, I refuse to
Well
develop
said.
any thick skin. I think sensitivity is one of the strongest points of a woman. Being able to have that compassion, to have that empathy, and to have that sensitivity is what
Yeah.
makes me a woman, is why I'm in this line, which is horrible, venomous, but I will make sure that I will change all of this. And in that, I definitely, with folded hands, needs support of women. It is extremely disgusting, saddening. Words fail me when women don't understand that, and women are the ones who are trying to pull other women down, which I've always spoken about, and that's really sad because that's really in low and cheap taste. I would never ever do that to another woman. I mean, it just
Yeah.
completely defies the purpose.
Yeah, I agree. What's fascinating is that both you, in your case, you're married to a Kashmiri Muslim. In Khushbu's case, in the past, she's been targeted for her religion. In both cases, uh, Islam was used to target Khushbu and Urmila. Khushbu, like, you were in fact told you're hiding your Muslim identity. And I remember you said, I don't hide anything. This is well known. I'm a Muslim and everybody knows who I am. In Urmila's case, being married to a Muslim got that trolling. In Nusrat's case, guess what? The exact opposite happened. Nusrat, a Muslim herself, actually embraced many cultural Hindu traditions, as all of us do. We're cross-cultural beings. That's what India is all about. And Nusrat was trolled for that. तो ये औरतों के साथ यही होता है, कुछ भी करो, there's no winning, right? Nusrat, tell us about that episode, how you processed it, and how you went through it.
You were talking about trolling. I think I cannot pick one because I get trolled for everything that I do. I'm so used to getting trolled. I think
Welcome
I'm
to
the
my
most
world.
trolled.
Welcome to my
Yeah, I'm the
world.
most trolled
Take it, you
person,
know what?
and
Take it as a compliment. When they can't
Yeah,
ignore you,
I am
it
loving
is a
it this
bloody
time. Honestly,
compliment.
guys,
They're obsessed
I'm
with
loving it
us.
this
Good luck
time.
to you. Hello,
Like
trolls. If you're
Khushbu
on my
said,
comment feed, one second, Nusrat. Hello, trolls. If you're on
yeah.
my comment feed right now, you're obsessed with me. I take it as a compliment. Go ahead, Nusrat.
See, I've always said that, like Khushbu said, ignorance is bliss. I've always felt that, they're lovers in disguise. They love me. And they do all this
Lovers in
because,
disguise.
honestly, guys,
I
seriously.
love that.
So, they love our women. They love what we do. It's just that, which is why they get so worked up to talk about us, and they have their opinions about everything that we do. So, if you had to pick, if I had to pick something that really heckled me at one point of time, that would be people. See, India is all about religion. Everything zeroes down to religion at the same, like everything really zeroes down to religion at the end of the day. So, religion was one factor that um, somehow pinned me down when I chose my life partner. And I was like, who the hell are you to decide who I'm going to live with, and who I fall in love with, and who I'm going to marry?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the whole of India started trolling me because I married a Hindu, and the people who are from my community had so much problems that they came up and told me that you're going to die a bad death. They cursed me,
Wow.
and they told me that Jannat isn't for me, and if they live in one. And and very nasty and very demeaning stuffs. It did bother me initially, thinking that Allah, are you actually going to pin me down for taking a call for my own life? And then my religion, which I have learned all these years, I'm very well versed with my religion, and it has never spoken anything against love. And love has no language, and it has
Yeah.
no differentiation between caste, creed, sex, gender, etc. ये part हम पढ़ा रहे हैं. We the women have taken the initiative to teach the world, and if we get trolled for this, I think we
Yeah.
should get hoots about it, because
Yeah.
what we're doing is right, and if you know you're right, nothing should pin you down.
Yeah, well said. Now, I want to ask all of you. Urmila made a statement saying, I want to be given a position not because I'm a woman, but because I'm good at it. But at the same time, we have all lived long enough, we're all old enough to know that a woman will have to be at least twice as good as a man to get to the same place. And then when you get to the same place, you will be scrutinized in a way that men just won't be. This is not a level playing field. Do you believe, given our woefully underrepresented parliament and assemblies, that we need reservation, or could there be another model? Could there be another model like reserving at the level of ticket distribution, allowing more women to contest elections? I know that all three of you come from parties that are all statedly committed to reservation, but I just want your individual opinion, because I have struggled with this. I have struggled with it because my instinct is to say I don't want it. And then my instinct is to remind myself that we are women of privilege, but many other women do not have the opportunity that women like ourselves do, right? So I'll start with you, Urmila, since you made the point कि मुझे नहीं कुछ चाहिए because मैं औरत हूँ. What about political reservation?
I completely agree with you. I think they need to be there, and it needs to start at the bottom, like you said. Coming from a party which has extremely strong women's wing, in Shiv Sena, the women Mahila Aghadi is extremely strong. In fact, they are called Rana Raginis. So the name itself suggests that even they are out there in the run, in the battlefield. So they also come with that mindset. But you're right, from the ticket distribution to the, to kind of selecting certain women, because what I meant, that all has to be there, because there are a lot of them who are really, and you very rightly said, after even getting into that position or getting near to getting the position, they have to work so much more, and they in fact become so much more pushed and, kind of more. They have to really work hard towards proving that tiny little point also, and that has to continue, because let's not forget that that cannot change overnight. But we are also a country which has the first female, one of the earlier times had a female prime minister. I am from a state where women like Savitribai Phule worked in the
Yeah.
era when there were no women who got out of the houses, and she was a social reformist, she was an educationist, etc. So having said that, what I meant, however, was you cannot be in a position and where you are at a ministerial position and you're standing in the middle of a parliament, and just because you're not able to give any answer, you just turn around and say, oh, I'm being targeted because I'm a woman. I am against that mentality, and
Yeah.
that some of them do whatever after going to that position. However, you are absolutely right. I feel these reservations are extremely important, and they need to be, going down, right, starting right at the bottom, and then slowly coming upwards, basically.
So I saw a question on our live stream saying, please ask the entire panel, how do they get their words heard and then their tasks done? And this was a man asking the question, so it must be a man familiar with. There it is. Please ask them all, how do they manage to get their words forward and get things done? And I think
I
this
am
is a man who's probably
relentless.
relentless. But that's my point. It's so
I just go
exhausting.
on and on
But
and
it's so
on. I'm like,
exhausting. Yeah, so do I.
no,
So
but
do
that's
I.
the
I go
thing.
on
But
and
that's
on and on and on. And this entire team that you can't see right now, many of them, my male friends in this team, tell me that I go on and on and on and on and on, and that I go all over the place, all over the place, all over the place. But what do you do? What do you do if you're not
Exactly.
relentless? Who's listening? Khushbu, who's listening if you're not relentless?
No, I think it's not only in politics, Barkha, all over. See, I have a production house. I have people working under me. I take care of my television production completely. And, when I sit for the discussions, when I'm there sitting with my writers or my creative team, and when I have my ideas, it really takes long to drill it in their minds that you have to follow the boss's order. Because all these men, unfortunately, work with ego that I am a writer, I'm the creative person, and I know my job better. I don't have to take it from you. What they forget is that I run the business, I run the show, and I have an experience of 35 years in cinema. You know, uh, you've
I mean,
done
this is
films
so
with
ridiculous.
the best of directors and writers, and
Yeah.
my experience is way far beyond than your experience. So it really takes long. In fact, it was last evening, I blew my top and I told my writers, it's my way or it's no other way. So it does take. So even if in my company this happens, so you can imagine how it is. Initially, the best policy I have learned is, to be a mute spectator, speak when
Yeah.
it matters the most, because you speak and you make a point. If you keep talking and talking and then like, yaar, ye khali badbadati rehti hai, kuch hone wala nahi hai. She has an opinion for everything. So I have taken a policy where I keep listening to everybody has to say. I note down the points and then I speak when it's very, very important. And then I make it a point that the work is done. It's not
Yeah.
easy, definitely not. When you
Yeah.
have a job to be done your way, you really have to struggle with this men around. Uh, that is definitely there. But then, if you are very clear, if you are very, very confident, then they have to get it done. They have to listen to you. And it depends on how you converse with them. It depends on how you order them. And there always has to be a kind of humility when you're getting the job done. You cannot be the bossy kind.
Why
You
not?
have to show
I can be
humility.
bossy. I like being bossy. Why can't we be
No,
bossy?
you have to. Like I said, I blew my top last evening. So you have to show at some point that you're the
Finally.
boss.
I blow my top
Yeah,
every evening.
yeah, I love it. But then, that is how it has to be. That
Yeah.
is how it has
No,
to
but
be. You have
you
to
know
get
what?
things done.
I'm hearing you and Urmila, and you both have two different approaches. So I want to go to Nusrat. There's Urmila who says, I'm relentless. There's Khushbu who says, yes, I do blow my top. I'm the boss. I need to remind people I'm the boss, but मैं कम बोलती हूँ. मैं तब बोलती हूँ जब मुझे कुछ बोलना हो. And Urmila saying, मैं सुबह से शाम अगर मुझे बोलने की जरूरत हो तो मैं बोलती हूँ. We've lost track of the political reservation conversation, and I'll come back to it. But Nusrat, is it tough to be a female boss? Is it tough to get men who work under you with you to take you seriously? And is it
Coming back
tough
to
to
the
get them? Is it tough to get them to take your anger seriously? The anger of women is dismissed. The anger of women is mocked. The anger of women is caricatured.
I come from the land of Ma Kali. They better take the anger. So on that note, coming back to your point, if women
Yeah.
dare to pursue their convictions in politics, then politics will stop being the man's world. That's coming back to the point of the reservation that you were talking about. Women have been proven amazing administrators in every field, even at home. They're pretty good at the jobs that they want to do. So
Yeah.
when we know exactly what we want, you don't tell me what to do. I don't need your
Yeah.
advice.
Yeah.
And it's all right. I'm not saying that just because I'm a woman, I have a the man who just questioned us that how do you raise your voice and how do you make it heard. So boy, we always had a voice. We just needed the push or the empowerment to probably implement the voice or make the voices to be heard. And to make the voice heard, you don't need to always yell. You just need to do what you believe in. So that's what I have been doing. I can be wrong, but ठीक है, I did what I did. And
Yeah.
if I am wrong, I'll be responsible for my actions. I don't need you to come and tell me that you will hold me responsible for my actions. No, no,
Yeah.
I'm not answerable to anybody because in today's times we are all doing our own jobs. We are all respectable in our own fields. We are all working hard in day-to-day life. So you don't teach me what to do. You don't tell me what to wear. You don't tell me who to love. You don't tell me what to eat. I do what I do. It's my life, my rules.
Well said. Now, I want to bring back where we started, political reservation. And how do you explain the contradiction of our country? And I'll start with you, Nusrat, and we'll take that around the panel. As Urmila said, we had Indira Gandhi before the United States of America has been able to get a female president.
Mm.
But yet, we are not as institutionally equal as many of these countries are. There are cultural variations. America is still debating abortion. We have it as a right. Our right to vote for women came automatically with independence. Many other countries had to fight for it. In many ways, we are more forward. In many ways, we are much more unequal. So, Nusrat, your state, your leader is a woman. And yet, the fact is that we are underrepresented in our parliament and our assemblies. Do you believe that we need affirmative action, political reservation, or personally, are you a bit uncomfortable with it?
Um, no, I'm not really uncomfortable as like I mentioned in the beginning that we had like about 17 out of 42 candidates were women from my party. So we have my leader is a lady, so I don't feel really left out. I'm not going to push things so hard. But yes, we need a better environment. We need people to enable a better environment, more distributed opportunities, equally distributed opportunities, and a good environment, a live environment with gender equality in terms of access, in terms of distribution of resources. So this is what we're looking out for. So things are changing, and I'm sure in the coming future, in the future times, things will get much better. We're not stuck in the olden times rule anymore. So I'm always looking forward to a better India.
Khushbu, do you support? If we can take it to Khushbu, Khushbu, do you support reservation? I know your parties all do, so I'm really not asking you what your party position is. And I know it's tough to deviate from the party position, but you're all
No,
such accomplished women, right? You accomplished something on your own in your professions before you got here. Apne balboote pe, as far as I know, none of you had benefactors, sugar daddies. You did it on your own. Yeah? I mean, you did it on your own, and so the
yeah.
point is, you could be asked, why can't you do it on your own in politics as well? I'll start with you, Khushbu.
No, I think see, whatever the party ideas are, personally, if you ask me, the minute you say there has to be a reservation for a woman,
Yeah,
I think you bring her in a bracket where you say that she is not empowered and we are giving the rights to a man to decide to empower her.
yeah,
Why are we even bringing her in a bracket? Why are we putting her in kind of a cocooned ball and say
hmm,
that I am going to protect you? I mean, a woman
yeah,
is a fighter. Nasrat comes from a land of Ma Kali. This entire country, we say it's motherland. We don't say fatherland. And mothers are the most strongest people. So I'm saying, why do you even put her in a bracket? Let her live her life. Let her decide what she wants to do. Do not, whether it is politics, any field for that matter, or even at home. The rules cannot be different for a man and a woman. The rules have to be equal. Until unless we do not start working on those lines, we will never be able to empower a woman. I'm
yeah,
sure if my mom had to tell me that you have three elder brothers, but this is how you have to behave, I don't think I would be so successful or such a strong person
yeah,
what I am today.
yeah. I
I would be
agree.
on the streets. I would be on the streets with my brothers playing every game that the boys played with them. So I
Yeah,
grew up in that kind of an atmosphere. And I think that's very important. You don't put out rules for women and a separate set of rules for men. So the minute we talk about gender equality, it starts there. And from there, it leads on. Today, we are still fighting for 33%, and that is shameful. We cannot. We are talking about equality, and it's like a woman, she achieves something, and then it's like, "Arey yaar, achieve kar liya yaar." Arey yaar, when a man achieves, why don't you look at with astonishment or with a surprised look? Why is it it's
yeah,
always a woman you see with so much of surprise? "Kar yaar, usne achieve kar liya." All we four in this panel today, in this bracket, I think we all are self-made people. We have achieved because we believed in ourselves, and the credit definitely should go to our parents who believed in us and
yeah.
allowed us to pursue what we love to do. So
I
I
agree.
think it's there, it starts at home.
But
No,
you mentioned
I
before I ask all three of you this, Urmila, you wanted to jump in. Let me just add a small question there. My running obsession is that we don't talk about equality at home. Dr. Soumya Swaminathan, who's the chief scientist of the World Health Organization, was saying earlier today that when she had to juggle kids, husband, and a career, it was really difficult for her. And the number of women I hear who say this all the time, that juggling. Now, why is that juggling only falling on women? Why do we not hear men say this? Why do we not hear men say, oh, I don't think I can pursue this line because, at this point, I'm a new father, or I need to attend my PTA meeting, or, I need to cook dinner tonight. I mean, if this man exists, I don't know him. And if you know him, please make me meet him. I would love to meet this man. Do you all know such men?
Yeah,
Urmila?
I do.
Nusrat?
even I know.
You're going to say my husband. You all
Even
three
I
will
know.
say my husband.
No,
No, no,
my
no.
You're all
father.
going to
No,
Before
say
my
my
father
before
too.
my
my
husband,
father.
my
Your
father.
fathers are willing to hear about.
My father.
Yeah,
Okay,
so which is
one
what
by
Khushbu
one.
said. We've learned
One
from our
by one, one by
parents.
one. One by one. I'll start with you, Nusrat, then Urmila, then Khushbu. Nusrat, who's this man?
So, so that's my father. I always wanted to marry someone who is very near, like every girl, like who's near to my father. So I've seen my father juggling too. I would not always claim that women are the best jugglers. I've seen my father juggle too, between work, between home. There were times when my father tried cooking all in vain. Rubbish he cooked, but he tried. At least he made an effort. So I think, just like Khushbu mentioned, uh, our upbringing came up from our parents, which is why we are so strong in the heart, in the mind. So yes, for me it was my father first, and then obviously the other men in my life followed.
Okay. Urmila?
I couldn't agree more. Actually, I always go and talk at this, forums because I feel that if I didn't have a father like I had, I mean, I wouldn't have been able to do anything. Me and my sister were given probably more freedom. And like Nusrat just said, that not all fathers, or all mothers are doing everything. My father has done it. From what I've heard, my father-in-law has done it. He was doing his PhD and he had three sons, and he would take time out and he'd be hands-on, playing with them, taking them out, helping them with their education. So all of that. So he was as much hands-on because my mother-in-law was a working woman as well. So he was as much involved in raising these three kids. And coming to the earlier point, so no, so it all starts at home, and that's why I feel it is all our job and kind of duty to take it to those women who probably didn't have that kind of upbringing, who they don't know only that it is fine. You need to be given an equal opportunity. Only then you grow the way you are supposed to grow. So a lot of women, unfortunately, a lot of daughters don't know that. So that's why our duties become even more, specific. And even though Khushbu put in a very beautiful and poetic picture about how it all should be, I slightly differ on that one personally, on in the sense that, like we said, that people look at us and say, when I got the ticket last year, they were like, of course, because I'm a pretty face, that's why I got the ticket. That's what my opposition had said. Literally the guy who finally won also. So वो तो सब होता रहता है और बातें होती रहेंगी. So basically we kind of struggle with that as well, where other women think that because we've been actors, what they don't understand is that we are also putting everything we've earned in another field completely at stake. It is all at stake. People who have loved us, not knowing what our political stands were, probably are not going to be with us anymore. They're going to probably hate us. They're going to probably hate that side, that strong side of us, and go get a side of us, and not budging on your point of views and not going back for point of views. People don't like strong women. Women don't like strong women. I mean, what are we talking about men here? Women can't stand strong women. So it is all, even though we would like to see a certain rosy picture of it, those women, so we all have put at stake everything that we had earned as actors. And when we came into this line, some make it, some don't make it. And by making it, I don't necessarily mean winning the election, but the journey kind of goes on. But for what about those women who don't even have that much stepping stone, and they have probably joined a party and worked for many, many, many years along with their male counterparts, and they don't probably get to where they are. So I feel, like I earlier said, that right from the ticket distribution to putting in efforts for those women to everything, all of that needs to be mobilized, and that needs to be mobilized by women like us, for women who are probably from their household, from their childhood, have not been given that opportunity. I cannot even put in words what it means to be given that opportunity, which I had, which probably all of us had in our houses. And that's why we are out there and doing our things. And that's why we need to reach out to those women who don't and pull them out and take them with us. It's going to be a long and strong battle, but I'm sure it's not an impossible one.
I want to take this to Khushbu, but I'm wondering how many of you saw this photograph where Kamala Harris, after she wins and everyone knows that she's going to be vice president, her husband posted a photograph on Twitter and he's hugging her and he tweets saying, "So proud of you." Now, the cynical person that I am, tweeted that photo and I said, how many Indian men would be comfortable being Kamala Harris's husband? And of course, I got a deluge of angry responses from women and men. Most women said, "My husband's like that." I was like, okay, that's fab. If if your husband's like that, good for you. But the larger point is that it is not easy for women. Even for women apologize for being more successful than their partners. Men are insecure about being less high profile than their partners. This is the society we live in. There are exceptions to it, but I think all of us have battled this in some ways in our personal relationships. I know I have. I'm just wondering what your experience has been with that, with men who may be living in your shadows. And I'll start with you, Khushbu.
I think, I'm very happy to know that whether it's Nusrat or Urmila, they have had a wonderful childhood with a very, very supportive father. Unfortunately for me, I didn't have. I've always seen my mom struggling all by herself. I had a father for the namesake because there was a surname to it, to my name. But otherwise, I don't have any great memories.
What happened? Can you share with us what happened exactly?
I have seen, my father was a very, very abusive father, a very abusive husband. And I have seen my mom struggle all her life, though she was, belonging to a very, very conservative Muslim family, uneducated. And I've seen her struggle. So my only thing was, my mom probably, she gave me the freedom and she allowed me to have my own wings and fly high, is because what she couldn't do it as a woman, she said, no, you should not be deprived of what I have been deprived of. So she allowed me to grow. And of course, We broke all our ties with my dad when I was 16, and after that, I have never seen him. In '86 was what I saw him last. So it's been 34 long years. I've never seen him, and I do not
No
regret because
contact. No contact.
no
Khushbu,
contact,
sorry,
no
no.
contact. No, absolute no contacts. Of course, my other family members were in touch with him, but then I had taken a decision that I'm never going to see him, and I stuck to my decision. I mean, my mom was very young, so I could see her struggling, and her mindset that what would people say and all that. But then the kind of freedom she gave me, that she trusted me and she allowed me to grow. I think I give the entire credit to my mother for, because I've seen her being such a
Mhm.
strong person. And I think for me, my family comes first. My family is very, very important to me. That also I take it from her. My When you come talking about my partner, my better half, I think
before you come to your partner, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to push you on your pain buttons, but it's so important for us to be able to talk about abuse that we have all experienced in our lives in a open way. And thank you for choosing this platform to do it. I just want to understand. You said your father was abusive as a partner to your mother and also an abusive father. Do you mean that he was violent? Do you mean he was sexually abusive? All of the above? Because when I was
oh,
listening to you, I was reminded of Eve Ensler in the Vagina Monologues, and Eve Ensler spoke very movingly about her father being an abusive father. And I just want you to just, if you're able to, tell us a little bit more about that
both,
experience
both.
and how it
He was,
changed you and how you.
no, he was both, Barkha. I mean, I would want to call him as my father. So why I broke my ties with him is because I rather be alone and be happy than being abused by somebody who I thought was my father. My mom said he's my father, and that's why I knew my first connection with it's with my mother. My heartbeat is what my mother reads first when I'm in her womb. My connectivity with the entire world will always be those 9 months lesser than what I have with my mother. And that is why we all say that we love our mothers. Mother understands you. So for me, my mother is everything. And I stopped having any kind of relationship with my father is because he was abused in every possible way. So that is why I didn't want to continue being calling him my father, and I broke my ties with him. And I'm glad I
What
did.
did that do?
So
What did that do to your trust in men? What did that do to your trust in men? To have experienced sexual abuse and physical abuse, and I think we've all experienced it in sometimes in adult relationships, sometimes as a child. I've experienced both. Let me tell you my experience,
yeah,
not at the hands of a family member, but I have experienced it in a romantic relationship, and I have experienced it as a child. It changes
yeah.
you. It causes enormous trust issues. It makes you very, very scared of giving up control. But when that happens, when the perpetrator is your father, and I just want to bring home a statistic here, more than 90% of women in India who are abused know their abuser, know their abuser, right? It happens
Yes,
within the circle of trust. How did this experience
yes.
transform or scar you or change you as a person?
It definitely changes you as a person. You look at everyone with a suspicious mind. You don't allow people to come very close to you. You always have some kind of a bug, running in your mind, and you think that everybody is around. If people are nice to you because they have an agenda. They have some kind of agenda on their mind, and that's why they want to be closer to you or they want to be nice to you. So you stop trusting every man you come across. It takes time to build the trust. It definitely does take a lot of time to build the trust, and I could build that trust after a very, very long time. But then I don't regret. Like I said, I believe my father passed away sometime early this year, and the news came to me. So I'm like not even bothered. I'm like fine. I rejoice. Somebody who was bhari tha is dharti pe chala gaya. That is how I react to it. So
Yeah.
but I take it. I take it. I don't hold anything against him, or I don't regret, or I don't say that, oh, that's my pity background and I need some kind of sympathy. No, I'm like, I'm happy the way I am. I'm glad I took a decision to look after my family at the age of 16, and I'm glad we cut off our ties with my father. I rather stay with my three brothers and my mom and be a happy person than being in a very, very unhealthy and unhappy family life. Uh, So that was about my dad. But when it comes to my husband, I think it takes very strong person like Sundar to accept a woman who was extremely successful. We met when I was at the peak of my career. People had built temples in my name, and he was just starting out. He was doing his very first film as a director when we fell in love on the sets. And then, even today, he's such a successful director and an actor in his own right. But even today, when he goes to these villages, women flock there to see him because he's Khushbu's husband. And he takes a pride in that. He calls me up and he said, there was this old lady. He walked up to me. I was in the shot and she just turned around and she looked at me and she said, "Oh, you are Khushbu's husband." In Tamil, they say, "Nida Khushbu Purushana." That's how they talk. And he takes pride. He's saying, I feel so happy that people, in villages, they still say that I'm Khushbu's husband. And he takes pride. So it takes a lot of guts for a man to accept that the wife is far more successful than me.
I agree. First, I just want to say, and I know Urmila and Nusrat will agree with me, that thank you for sharing what you just did. I think for us to talk about abuse and violence is never easy. For us to call our father abusive sexually and physically is probably the most traumatic thing to live through. I had a difficult time for 2 minutes concentrating on anything you were saying after you told me that. So thank you. I want to return, we have just a few minutes left, to an interesting question, unconnected, that came up on our stream about the balance between special treatment and equality. And the question was how in Paris there have been fines for too many women being nominated to particular bodies, right? That there is such a thing that also happens. We're seeing this debate at a time when the world is debating whether countries that have been led by women have handled the COVID pandemic differently, whether it's New Zealand, whether it's Lithuania, whether it's some of the Nordic countries, whether it's Germany, right? This is a very interesting conversation and I'm quite confused about it because मुझे कई बार लगता है कि अगर हम अपने आप को बहुत सारे compliments दें on the basis of gender, तो फिर वो जो insults आते हैं वो भी सहने पड़ेंगे. But just last thoughts on that particular question that came in. Nusrat, I'll start with you. The balance between not romanticizing ourselves but wanting equality.
Yes, I definitely agree to the fact that we are not romanticizing with ourselves. We don't need any special treatment. All we need is gender hierarchy. We need liberty in decision making. We need better position and as rights, take decisions, and work in the front end. I mean, for God's sake, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Am I there?
Yeah, now you're there. We lost you briefly, but you can repeat what you said.
Yeah. So coming back to the point, I genuinely feel that more women MPs or MLAs will take on the gender hierarchy, and but however, liberty in decision making, in crucial decision making, or a better position in the party needs to be taken care of. We don't need special treatment. We just need to be treated equally. That's all we want. Not really romanticizing with ourselves. Just because we're women, you don't have to look at us and say, "Oh my God, such a pretty face." That's all that they're here for. And oh my God, they're rubber stamps. No. We are not rubber stamps. We don't treat us like rubber stamps. We know how to read, write, erase, rewrite, and bring about the change.
Yeah, actually, being underestimated is a very interesting thing because then when you deliver, they're like, "Hey, ye kya ho gaya?" Urmila, last thoughts.
I absolutely agree with you on that line that you just said that sometimes I enjoyed being underrated also because I'm like, good, you keep on thinking low of me and so therefore I'll come back with more vengeance. The interesting thing is that in today's day and age, one doesn't have to worry about too much romanticizing about one's achievements because there are all these trollers constantly putting you down. So there's not going to be no problem in that. However, I must say a very touching thing that I had 28 days after I joined Congress to put up my campaign, literally 28 days, not even a month. And I worked so hard, not because I'm a woman or man, because that's what I passionately wanted to do. So I did that. And when I had left Congress, I had never said I'm leaving politics, but somehow maybe it was assumed again because I'm a woman and because I'm an actor that मैं हार गई तो मैंने छोड़ दिया politics. मैंने politics नहीं छोड़ा था. On the positive side, tremendously positive, I used to get and still do get so much feedback that you should be in politics, that you should be doing work, that you should come back, that you should be, and that kind of kept on making me go for it, and keeping me in that proper mindset, because some things I must have done right in those 28 days that people thought that I could bring in some change, if not a huge one. So that is also a part of it. So I think it's all both ways. And like I said earlier, that when you're entering a field that is so much demanding, not to prove anything to anybody
Yeah.
else, but to yourself, you definitely need to know much more than most others. On the point that you're talking about, like my Instagram account was hacked 2 days ago, and I definitely intend to work on this space of cyber crimes in India, because ours is the second possible this on the social
Yeah.
platforms, and a lot needs to be done to bring in laws against these kind of things. So what I'm trying to say is that I need to get into the nitty-gritties of it, understanding, and bring about and work on it. So
Yeah.
anything and everything, basically, you need to be a step ahead, not because you're a woman, but if you want to bring in change, you need to know much more than others do.
Yeah. Just a last comment from Khushbu. This thing that Urmila spoke about being loved and hated in equal measure, this is something that happens to women. It happens to women in particular who are strong, passionate, talented, successful. It also happens to those of us who live in the public space. I have some experience of this, right? I think I have faced extreme adulation and extreme hatred. It can destabilize you. It's very important to have people in our lives who keep us real. How do you stay real, Khushbu?
My kids, my girls make sure I'm real. They keep me grounded. The minute I really want to romanticize myself and say, okay, I have
Yeah.
achieved something, and there's one knock on my head, I said, Amma, behave yourself.
Yeah.
So I think my girls make sure that I'm very, very grounded. And then I think it also matters the kind of friends you have. I
Yeah.
completely depend on my friends. I have very close, a set of 5 friends who have been my friends since I came to Chennai. And they like one hello and they know what I'm going through, those kind of friends. And I have to speak to them on everyday basis, whichever part of the world I am in. And they keep me completely grounded, and they show me the real world, and they say that, listen, I think you are staying you're in a bubble. Come out of it, burst the bubble and come out. This is the reality. So it
Yeah.
it is very important that you understand. It feels good. It definitely feels good that being an actor, being a successful person, being a well-known person, when you're going out, people do admire you. People do
Yeah.
look up to you. Even in political parties, they're always in awe that, Arey, there is Khushbu. They always want to take a selfie and pictures. All that is fine. I can't let that go into my head, because that is not reality. The real thing
Yeah.
will be when I start working and when I achieve something in the field that I have chosen to be in. So
Yeah.
you really need to understand that what is real and what is not.
I just want to just look at this fantastic panel and just say two things. I was talking to some other women this week, and they said, every woman needs a wolf pack, and I love that phrase. That you need your go-to friends, right? And not necessarily your families, but actually someone outside of that, not necessarily your work colleagues. You need your wolf pack, and the other thing that we all need is you need your 2 a.m. pajama person is what I call it.
Yeah.
You need someone whom you can sit in your tracks with, no makeup, no filters, no good lights, just who you are. And so here's to 2 a.m. friends and our wolf packs. I just want to say that you all made me very happy today, because it doesn't matter whether I agree with you or I don't agree with you. I see individualism here. I see success here. I see color here. I see flavor here. I see unapology here. And I think unapologetic women are something to be celebrated. Urmila, Khushbu, Nusrat, be well and keep shining and have fun while you're doing it.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank
Thank
you
you so
so
much.
much,
It's been
Barkha.
so
Thank you
much
and
fun.
happy birthday
Thanks,
again.
Urmila. Thanks,
Oh,
Nusrat.
Happy birthday, Barkha.
Happy birthday,
thank you.
Barkha.
Oh gosh, you outed me. Thank you so much. Thank you, Urmila,
So I
Khushbu,
would like to
and
actually say something before we end this conversation. That
yes.
you know, to all the women who are listening to us, to all the men, on behalf of all of us today, that in order to get things done, we gotta do it ourselves. You do them first, and we're brave, we're unapologetic, we're unabashed, and I expect all the women to be the same. So I really want them to say that dare to dream and make it real. That's the message we would like to tell all the girls.
And
And
don't
that's
Well
let
said.
anybody else tell
sorry.
you what you can do or what you should do. You decide and you stick to it.
And
Sure.
Nasrat, I must tell you, your first day in Parliament, you rocked. You were beautiful. So don't be apologetic as to what you wore. I think you killed
Thank
it.
you, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Pleasure chatting with all of y'all.
Lovely.
Thank you.
More women need to stand up for women. More men need to stand up for women. More women need to stand up for men. We need to get this conversation to transcend genders, and that's when we will really be
Yeah.
where we want to be. Nusrat, Urmila, Khushbu, thank you. Bye for now, and catch you all
Thank you. Thank
later.
you.